Okay, this is Dr. John Towers of Stigmata Studios and JohnnyX.com. Also, Red Horse Radio. Um, and what I'm doing here is we're going to watch me uh, zombify this couple uh, double time. So this is 2 times faster than I actually work. However, I do generally on average about 10 minutes a person. This one is a little faster. There's a couple reasons it's faster. One of them is I'm working off of a picture on a screen. If I've got to actually sit there with someone across from me, it slows me down a little bit because I'm kind of like on their time. I got to wait for them to look at me the right way, or direct them to get back to looking at me however they were, or just guess. So if they're frozen in front of me, it works out a lot better. Um, so my technique here is I'm using regular. Whoa, that was my pencil eraser or my pencil sharpener dropping. That reminds me, I had a magnet. Alright, so what happened is I actually talked all the way through the first part of it. I use a non-photo blue pencil to go through. By design, it's hard to see, especially from this far away, especially on the screen. Hey, there's Ed, my evil cat. So it's on normal paper, just like printer stock. Go through with the non-photo blue pencil to get the rough shape. I use the same technique basically when I'm doing my comics. The pencil's really just a rough. Like, I know a lot of guys like Byron and Scott and those guys get pretty detailed with their pencil lines. I do not. I get pretty pretty loose, and then I tighten it up, as much as it's going to get tightened up when I'm inking it. And as you can see right here, plain as day, I'm using Sharpie markers. So between the paper size and the thickness of the lines of the Sharpie marker, this is one of the reasons that it seems like I'm moving very fast. Well, and that the video is double speed. But I mean, even if it wasn't double speed, it's still pretty fast. It's because, I'm filling in a smaller amount of space with a bigger nib of a pen. So I go through, I block it out, use all the outside lines. I use one of those huge, super fat, they're actually called Super Sharpies. It's the thickest line that they got, except for like the chiseled ended ones. It's still kind of like a fine point. It's real fat. So I use that to go through and to start filling in like the bigger pull spots. Like I'm doing like her little vesty kind of thing right now. And while I'm doing this, I'm already sort of thinking about like how I'm gonna dilapidate and decay them as I go. As you can see, the side of her neck is something that I've been doing lately when I'm doing my portraits, and that's like I'm thinning out the neck skin, so you don't not only see the veins, but you also see like the little vertebrae parts sticking through. And I don't know if you paid attention at the beginning when I showed the photo that I'm working off of, but the side of her face is cut. It's kind of like cut off. It's cropped off. The same thing as the top of his head. So this is a problem that I have to worry about when I'm working with photos as opposed to sitting there. So ultimately, what I do is I just kind of like cut her ear off or something like that, and just work with a bunch of shadows this way. When you're doing the portraits, I feel like I'm rushing. When you're doing the portraits, I feel like I'm rushing, like being too quick, not rushing as like, anyhow. When you're doing the portraits, the danger is to make it too sort of cartoony or too like over the top. Like they still have to be able to see themselves in it. And I've seen like caricature guys who just like draw like a melty skeleton face, and they're like, "Hey, this is you," whatever. I work more towards like a life drawing ability or philosophy where like, if you get their character like with one side or the other, then you can kind of like do what you want to the other side. So here, her photo, she's already she's got like the bang thing going over one of her eyes. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to like decay out like her hidden eye anyway. So I'm going to make it like all eaten away and bloody and gross on that side. And then I'll pay attention to, getting her where her character is, the way that she holds her eye, and she's got like this kind of distinctive squint, like the way she's smiling, kind of squints her one eye. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use that, and also the importance of getting the nose right. There are really three things. It's the eye and the eyebrows, the nose, and actually like details of their clothes, because when they see that, they're going to know what they're wearing. So like I'll take a little bit of extra time if they have a tie on. This guy has a tie on. I don't think it has a print, but I'll try to like, not duplicate it, but I'll visually imply the print on the tie to match like what they're wearing. Or like if they're wearing like a sports shirt or something, like I'm not going to spend all day drawing a logo on someone's shirt, but I'll goof it in. Same thing with like a tattoo or something like that. It's the detail. If you get the details right, then they can see the details. Then you can kind of like decay or really, fuck up another part of them. With the couples drawings, I don't really tend to go too crazy with messing them up too bad, because in my brain, and I know that there's people out there that frame them up or like use them for whatever. It's like a couple-y kind of thing. But I don't do her any favors. Like I recede her lips out, and no one's teeth is sacred. You mess up the teeth as much as possible, because zombies are like chewing on bones and stuff, so they're like breaking them and like moving them around. Plus, they're kind of probably loose anyway. So, if you're smiling in a picture, or if you're smiling when you're sitting across from me, I'm gonna jack your teeth up. Unless they're out, landishly, distinctly, your teeth. Like if you have a gap, like a distinctive gap or something, like I'll work with that, and I'll use that. Okay, so we're flying right up on the end here. I just been kind of like blabbing. You can see I did a Y incision on her. I do that a lot, especially if their chest is exposed or if they're showing off cleavage. I'll do that. Bloody splatter prints. Another thing to pay attention to. Well, another thing that I pay attention to a lot is glasses. Because people spend a lot of time picking out these frames, and they're like, well, these are the glasses that define me or work with my face. So, I never fudge in glasses. I always try to get them as right as possible. And we're going through, so his eyebrows, I'm going to get pretty good. I'm going to keep one of his eyes good, and I'm going to make the other one kind of droopy. That's the one that I'm doing that's close to the picture there. The next one I do, I'm going to kind of like laze it out, because that's another thing that you see a lot is like lazy-eyed zombies. So I'm going to cut the lazy eye, and then I'm going to chew away his cheek. So the story of the piece is, maybe she chewed it off, or maybe he got hungry while he was waiting for her and he chewed it off, or something like that. So here we go, flying into the end, a couple of loose touches here, we got some blood splatter, whatnot. I am Dr. John Towers, www.johnnyx, Red Horse Radio, and that's the end. Have a good evening. I hope you enjoy.